Hello everybody, this is Miles Luigi, welcoming you back to the Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, Mario Lone Run, for Chapter 4. Yes, it's been too long, I know. Let's get started. So one of the badges that I pick up just before we start Chapter 4 actually is the Heart Finder badge. If you have checked out my original Paper Mario Lone Run, I commented that both Heart Finder, Flower Finder really useful. I made Flower Finder a very strong priority for Chapter 2. And in Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, Heart Finder, Flower Finder are both pretty good. They allow me to continue to keep up Mario's HP and FP in the face of not being able to use items, and it helps me alleviate Mario's HP and FP along the way. Release a little bit of the dependence on sweet treats. It's a pretty good badge to put on. So this isn't exactly the most comfortable situation. Riding on Ridley's butt while he's tired, yeah, it begs some questions. So Chapter 4, whole place is just really depressing. You would think a town named Twilight Town would have spectacular twilights, but instead it's just a gloomy town. Wow, okay, good to know. Everyone's been turned into pigs. Moving on to some enemies, the Hyper Goombas, they don't pose the same threat that the Hyper Goombas did in Paper Mario 1. Paper Mario 1's Chapter 3 was awfully difficult because of these buggers, but the thing is, due to the increase in power that I can put on Mario here, I can actually one round KO them with a spin jump, and the same thing with the Hyper Paragoombas. However, the spiked Hyper Goombas pose a different threat. I can't get Spike Shield yet, that's the biggest thing here, and increasing Mario's attack power naturally to be able to take them out is a difficult gambit to do here. The thing is, if I had like Power Plus and Hammerman, that by itself, that's like 2 extra attack power, and that only brings my hammer's attack power up to 6. Oh, I suppose if I put on Power Smash, then that bring it up to 8, and that would run around and KO him, but then I'm using Hammerman, and that doesn't help against the other Hyper Goombas and all the other enemies around here. Not fun day. Yay, Spiked Hyper Goombas, they don't appear simply just by themselves, so instead my strategy here actually is to get some Spin Smash action here. A single Spin Smash will knock out the rest of the Hyper Goombas, or bring them in run around KO range, I should say, because it brings them down to 7 HP, and then a simple Power Smash will bring them down all the way. On the way here, we go ahead and pick up the Defend Plus. Hey, I like defense. Taking less damage is cool. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door introduces defense piercing attacks, though, which makes Defend Plus not too terribly useful. It's a 5 badge point investment to a single defense, and when some attacks can just simply negate that BP increase, it's really not all that fun. I like using damage dodges whenever possible to just increase the effectiveness of my guard, as opposed to, hey, I take 1 less damage, except against some attacks. Fun. So moving in further into the forest here, where we find some crazy dayzees. I wonder what they are so happy about. These little buggers can actually pose a serious threat to us if they knock us asleep. You see, sometimes they'll run away from battle, and sometimes they'll sing their song, and their song itself is only 2 damage, not too bad, except it can sometimes knock you asleep, and that's bad. Being knocked asleep, you normally do wake up about half the time when you get attacked after getting knocked asleep, but you don't control that, and not having control of that is... it's aggravating, to say the least. On the other hand, the other enemy that's in the forest, the Hyperglyphs, they are a joke, as they, a Quake Hammer. I win. We pick up Hammer Throw here, and Hammer Throw itself is an ability that normally gets eclipsed by other moves. Quake Hammer is just an amazing ability. Even though it doesn't a lot of damage, it hits everything on the ground and the ceiling. So for ceiling enemies, usually, the Quake Hammer will at least beat it out in terms of utility, although I suppose Hammer Throw can see some use in terms of gaining a lot of damage on a single enemy on the ceiling. But normally if you shake an enemy off the ceiling with Quake Hammer, they come off the ceiling and then they're in air, and then you can jump on them and thumbs up there. And Spike Shield is a thing as well, so it's even spiked enemies where theoretically Hammer Throw in that situation, well, I can jump on them because, I have Spike Shield. The thing is, though, even though Hammer Throw usually gets eclipsed by other abilities, it's absolutely invaluable if you choose to run a setup that has the Hammerman badge, because then it actually extends Mario's utility beyond what it normally has with the hammer. In particular, hitting enemies behind the front enemy is a big issue, or hell, any enemies in midair if you have Hammer Throw on. A couple of useful things that you could do with Hammer Throw. Amazy Daisies are really scary. They drop a lot of experience, but at my point, if I get hit by one, I'm practically dead. Theoretically, they are definitely beatable with the Sleepy Stomp, because the Sleepy Stomp has a 40% chance to knock this bugger asleep. Problem is, it doesn't happen here. We have made our way to the creepy steeple. There's a lot of good things here. It's your cookbook and Ice Smash. Ice Smash is interesting. It's potentially useful in Chapter 5 with all the fiery enemies. However, ice as a status ailment is like really debilitating on an enemy. But the problem is with a lot of the status ailment inducing hammer abilities is that you can only hit the front enemy. I just mentioned hammer throw. It's cool to be able to hit enemies in the back, but with hammers, that induce status ailments like Ice Smash, and the one we're going to get next chapter, the the Confuse Hammer. Being able to only hit the front enemy really limits this this badge's effectiveness. We have picked up our second Flower Saver, which is pretty cool because the second Flower Saver will allow me to do moves such as Power Bounce or Quake Hammer for only 1 FP instead of 2. Keep in mind though that a lot of Mario's abilities use 2 FP, so this second Flower Saver isn't going to see quite as much use as this first Flower Saver that I picked up a while back. Though it is definitely really cool to be able to use Mario's 3 FP moves, you know, Power Bounce and Quake Hammer for only a single FP, and even the moves that take more FP to use them for less. Gotta love them. I'm a math nerd. Now here comes the Atomic Baboo, which was a boss that when I was playing the game live, I didn't think of as a really great threat because I should be able to take him out really quickly here. He has no defense, he has 40 HP, he's basically just a big target for my Power Bounce. But he does have one critical battle swaying ability, which is the ability to just straight up freeze Mario in place. And that's no good because there's like literally nothing that I can do if I get hit by this status ailment. This status ailment is probably one of the most deadly to Mario to be just simply frozen in place, because at this point I can't dodge, can't super guard, I take damage, and that can lead to death. Regardless though, just continue watching the battle. One of the other enemies in the creepy steeper are the swoopers. One of the enemies in the ceiling, hence why we just got hammer through, is flying to in the ceiling. Quake Hammer is my best friend here. Theoretically, if I actually wanted to, Quake Hammer once and then multi-bounce in the next turn could one-round KO a whole line of them, which is definitely a strategy that I would have employed if there was commonly like lines of 4 or lines of 5 of these little buggers, but usually they only come in a group of 3, so they're normally not so much. The other enemy in the creepy steeple are the Boos, who like playing games with invincibility, have 7 HP, but 7 HP with no defense means they are one-round KO. Yay, I killed them. Here we've run into Dupless, and I can't believe I've never noticed that till now, but Dupless has an adorable bow on him for a Duplicost. Look at that. But relatively speaking, he's actually a step down from the previous boss battle. Consider Grubba, who had like 60 HP and did all the fancy stuff, and Dupless has 40 HP, and he has nothing really to make up for it at all. Nada. He's just kind of a thing. Well, just watch the battle. So we're actually not completely done with Chapter 4 because the game throws its little twist on us, and we're now purple Waluigi Mario. Time for real Mario alone time. The game actually, for me, doesn't feel any different. So when I was live streaming Chapter 4 here, a lot of people had trouble spelling Duplis' name in Twitch chats because their phone kept auto-correcting Duplis. So I decided to have fun with it in my playthrough actually here. Let's go ahead and try to guess Duplis' name. Dropless? Wow. As for this battle itself, there's nothing to it. You can't do damage. You can't do damage. You just run away. So we've made it back to town, but we don't have a name. Funny enough, if we try to go into a pipe, the pipe will reject us because we don't have a name. Which means the only way we're getting out of here is by foot, not by pipe. Oh, game limits. Game limits. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and help out Vivian here because, you know, we're a good nameless person. And Vivian decides to make a decision here to completely defy her sisters. And you got to admit, she's got gall. And she immediately regrets her decision. She knows how much punishment she's gonna get for doing this. I got it. Your name is Duoptics. No. Ugh. I haven't pointed it out yet, but we have the B rank stage now since we made it to level 10 in the Chapter 3. And B rank stage comes with the notorious fog stage element. Stage hazards are something that can legitimately turn the tide of a battle, actually. Whether it be it freezes an enemy or, well, freezes you, annoyingly enough, or stuff like that. Amusingly, it's like an extra damage by a bucket or a weird, like, staticky status element that comes in about because of the stage element can end up playing a role. Or heck, if I charge and then the waterfall comes down and it wipes away my charge, that can be annoying. Usually stage elements are more annoying to the player than beneficial, though I'm not gonna complain if a bucket drops on a boss on me. That'd be nice. And we've made it back to the creepy steeple. It's a basement full of buzzy beetles. What am I gonna do? Some of them have spikes in the... Oh, about this. Quake Hammer is quite amazing. Quake Hammer is just an amazing ability. Look at this. The buzzy beetles don't stand a chance. Here we go ahead and pick up the tornado jump ability. A really weird ability, all things considered. It is something that the developer should have thought twice before including in the game because it is completely outclassed by multi-bounce. Consider now, if I do tornado jump, I jump on a single enemy, and you know, that single jump on an enemy I think actually does full damage. And then you do the tornado effect, which hits all the enemies in mid-air with a wind effect for 2 damage. But the thing is, my multi-bounce also hits all enemies for 2 damage. The only use scenario where tornado jump comes into use is if you want to have that wind effect to attack multiple things and do a lot of damage to a single target. And situations like that don't happen too often. And you know, the 2 damage that does done, everything else, it only affects them if they're in mid-air. Tornado jump. Yeah, let's not speak of you again. Here in the room with the bird, we get our second power plus and the letter P. One, I'll let us complete the chapter. The other is invaluable, more attack power. With the second power plus, I can get Mario to do 8 damage naturally with his jump, 6 damage naturally with his hammer, even more damage, which includes other things. Basically, Mario has become a huge powerhouse, and of course I can even further that even more with a jump man if I wanted to be so inclined to do so. As you may already be aware, this chapter, you're forced to run back and forth a whole bunch. So we've run back through the forest again, and now we can finally get Duplis' name right and run back. Fun. A single pipe that would have led between the creepy steeple and the town would have completely alleviated this altogether. If, like, you make it to the creepy steeple and then you have to travel back, or, hey, say in the creepy steeple there's a switch you can hit that makes a pipe appear. Improvement. So now we have to fight Duplis again, but this time we have to deal with partners. Or do we? You see, this boss battle is incredibly interesting. See, Duplis himself, not too interesting. But the action replay code that I'm using for all the partners sets their HP to 0. And funny enough, it affects this fight. let me actually cut on over to here. This is a version of the battle that I did where I cheated it, and I could see the partner's HP because I had the peekaboo badge. And as you can see, they have 0 HP. A single thing, regardless of what it is, like let's go ahead and use this dizzy dial. Single thing kills them. So this battle, let's go ahead and go back to the normal fight as normal. It's basically the same as the first Duoptics fight, except I have an extra attack power, and Vivian's going to come in at some point and immediately regret all of her life decisions. There's not too much to this battle other than the really interesting 0 HP partners going on here. I'll just watch the battle. So with Twilight Town taken care of, join me next time when we head out to sea with other useless sea dogs. I wonder if any specific character that may or may not be Evil Pop-Tart's favorite character wants to join us. Oh, about you, Miss Mouse? Sure. By the way, in case you're wondering, I'm getting Miss Mouse because it just feels wrong for me to not get all the partners in the game. This isn't of any use for me in this realm at all. It's just, I would feel wrong if I didn't actually get her. Anyway, next time, everyone.